Let's get these comments to where I can see all of them. Salute to you, Trucker. Lee Moore. Easy Frank. West Coast Diner Bros. I mean, listen. It is absolutely insane what's going down when it comes to Fresno, Sonoma, Salem, the Rain Man indictment and convictions. Insane. We'll let some more people get in here while we wait. What's up, Wild Bill? 209. Do you guys see in Canada, they have outlawed in Quebec, the Hells Angels can't wear their cuts anymore. And if they get caught wearing their cuts in public, it's anywhere from like a $1,000 to $3,000 fine, I think they said, and something like a $3,000 to $15,000 fine for the club per person per incident, basically. And that's crazy. That's crazy work. And then there will be harsher penalties for multiple offenses. So in Canada, they're basically going with the Australian way of thinking, but just against the Hells Angels. So it's weird. All right, we got enough people in here to get started. All right, with the Fresno, Sonoma, Salem indictment and convictions that I've been covering for years, a lot of times I'm so at the front of the line when it comes to the information coming in that a lot of times I'm reporting this stuff days, weeks, months before even the newspapers or anybody else is telling you about these things. I'm telling you about these things. And the reason is because I'm very close with the people on the inner circle, basically, i.e. family members, close friends of the 5 men that were convicted and sent to prison, which helps give me access to try to blow it out of the water and blow the miscarriage of justice that is unfolding right now is insane. So I want to back up. The woman who is the confidential human source, it is not Robbie's ex or girlfriend or wife, right? Robbie Huff, the Fresno member who is missing and presumed gone to the upper room. In all actuality, the confidential human source was JoJo's, some woman close to JoJo Hardesty, Joseph Hardesty, the Richmond Hells Angel member. She was working for the feds, it looks like, far before the arrest came down for all the presidents. And I'm just going to start calling them the presidents because the more you think about it, Rusty was the original president of Sonoma. John was the president of Sonoma. Ray was always the president of Sonoma when he was out. So there's 3. And then you have Brian Went, the Fresno president, and Rain Man, who is the Salem president. These are the 5 men that were convicted on the testimony of Joseph JoJo Hardesty, right? Saying that they had put this elaborate thing together and he dropped out all of a sudden, and they went through with it and took Joel Doughboy Silva and sent him to the upper room and disposed of him in an incinerator at a crematorium or a funeral home in the Fresno area. Here's what's coming out in court right now. We all know that, well, most of us, that they had an evidentiary hearing based on testimony from this confidential human source tied to JoJo Hardesty. They were supposed to go in this month on the 18th, and they couldn't find her. She's their witness. She is their informant, but they can't keep track of her when it comes to something like this. Well, magically, she reappears on the 21st, 3 days after that hearing, but that hearing already had to be put off because they couldn't find her to testify. The reason they can't find her to testify is because the instant she testifies in open court to what I'm about to tell you guys, the judge has zero option but to overturn all of the convictions pertaining to Joel Silva, Doughboy's untimely passing and being sent to the upper room. She is going to testify that she was involved in running major amounts of Bud Bundy from the West Coast to the East Coast with Joseph JoJo Hardesty and Robbie Huff, a member of the Fresno Hells Angels. She's also going to testify that Joseph JoJo Hardesty told her in a conversation they had that he is the one who took Doughboy out alongside Robbie Huff. They are the ones who sent Doughboy to the upper room. The reason is there is alleged in open court that there was a $30,000 debt for a weed deal between those men. Robbie Huff, Doughboy, and JoJo Hardesty were supposed to. They owed 30 grand to members on the East Coast, is what's being alleged in court. Now, the judge asked if any money or there was any kind of evidence showing that the members of the East Coast received money from Doughboy, Robbie Huff, or JoJo. The prosecutor said no, and because of that, nobody on the East Coast needs to worry about it because there's no proof, right? So Doughboy burns the money, the $30,000. Because of that, JoJo and Robbie send him to the upper room. Joseph JoJo Hardesty, it is looking like, and I'm not going to say this until it's said in open court, but I'm being told this, JoJo was originally not arrested for a PG&E substation that he had plotted against. Instead, JoJo was originally arrested for M1 against Joel Silva, Doughboy. They arrested him for taking him out because this confidential human source that was running weed with him was also a undercover federal informant, basically. And she had told them that JoJo told her that he's the one who took out Doughboy. He was originally arrested for Doughboy's death. And that's when, over a year period, the feds and JoJo Hardesty formed this together to put it on the 5 presidents that were ultimately convicted of Doughboy's death. None of them took part in it. And that was, I believe, clearly stated by JoJo to this woman and is already on record with the courts. Here's the other thing. The judge and the prosecutors and the feds all knew that this woman had done this way before the trial even started on these men. Meaning, they under Brady versus Maryland, were obligated to give the defense this information. If you think about it, the 5 presidents went, if they would have known about it, they would have used this as their defense in court. What are you talking about? JoJo is the one who already admitted to this informant and was already arrested for taking Doughboy out. How are you going to say it's us, right? None of that happened. And by violating Brady, the judge is going to have no other option but to overturn the conviction on the charges pertaining to the death of Joel Silva, Doughboy. Once that happens, which is presumably could happen as soon as September, but the way that they keep dragging this along, the prosecutors are trying to get as much time as they possibly can before this comes into an open court, because the day it comes into open court, the judge is going to have to rule to overturn those convictions. Meaning, Rain Man, Christopher Rainieri, the Salem president, Brian Wendt, the Fresno president, and Russell Rusty Ott, the vice president of Sonoma, are going to be freed. They're going to be sent home. There's no other choice. They violated Brady. And they subsequently tried to cover it all up. Now it's all come out. It's out in the open. The remaining 2 members, and this lines up with where they're at right now also, because John Nelson has been sent back to Victorville. Brian Wendt, I believe, is in Atwater, USP Atwater, all while Rusty Ott is still in county holding in the San Francisco area, along with Rain Man and Ray Ray. So, or I believe Brian's also in county, because he is being anticipated to be set free. John was sent back to USP, and there's a reason in that. John and Ray Ray were also convicted of the beating and putting out in bad of Troy Conti, a member of the Sonoma County Hells Angels. Because of that conviction, which won't be overturned, it's not like the entirety of it is going to be overturned. It is just that. Just the Doughboy charges, anything pertaining to that. When this happens, John and Ray Ray will have to finish out whatever amended sentences they are going to be reheard on and resentenced on when it comes to Troy Conti, drastically reducing their sentences. John has never been to federal prison before. This is his first rip, and he got life for the Doughboy M1. So, 50-year-old man gossiping about PO. Beat feet then, Jason. So, when it comes down to all of this is crazy, but when you find out that it's the man that they used as the key witness against all 5 of these men, who later perjured himself through a text and said that he lied about Rain Man, was the actual trigger man that took him out. I never saw this one coming. Like, even when they said Robbie Huff, and then for people say, okay, well, Robbie was taken out. Now we would see why Robbie allegedly was taken out. We don't know if JoJo's the one who did that. Who knows, right? All we know is Robbie went missing 8 months after Doughboy, and Chino went missing out of Bakersfield, and Art, a longtime member of Richmond, who was the president of the Hells Angels California Nomads, left the Nomads, went down to Bakersfield, where Chino was from, fist fought every single one of the members of the Hells Angels in Bakersfield. A couple of days later, shows up on Fresno's porch and is never seen again. JoJo was Art's prospect. So, when it comes to all of that, it does paint a clearer picture as to why Robbie, who absolutely was involved, we already know that he disposed of Doughboy's car and Doughboy's remains, right? It's looking like definitely Brian Wendt ain't the monster that he was being portrayed to be, because he's not even the one who took Doughboy out. And originally, like a week or two ago, it was looking through, and you got to understand how hard it is to get the information from a sealed hearing where the defendants are not even there, or they're not allowed to talk, right? So, of course, we're trying to piece through every bit of information that we can. I'm trying to. And, of course, things are going to be wrong, or, told to me wrong, or put out there wrong. Now it's all being cleared up. It's all being heard in court. It's all being said. Now all the attorneys involved. You got to understand. Say Rain Man and his attorneys, who are leading the charge in all of this, they are the ones who are going to have all of this information first. And they'll have it days, sometimes weeks, before all the other defendants and their lawyers will know about it. Right? Rain Man could know this is going down, and Rusty just knows that something is going down. He doesn't know what. It's not all speculation. It's starting to come out in court. But yeah, up till now, I mean, it has all been speculation. We all speculated that Brian Went was the one who took Doughboy out. And I've been the leader of that charge, right? Because that was what was established in court in their convictions. So it's not like it's defamatory or anything. This is what by law has been stated as a fact, right? Well, now we understand that the law side of things was playing on a skewed level that we've never seen before. And we've seen that the feds and prosecutors and judges have done very, very questionable or corrupt things. But on this level, they literally got in bed with the trigger man and convicted 4 men, really, of, well, if you add Merle in there, 5 men of something. And aside from Merle, the others had nothing to do with, which is absolutely insane. Mark, yeah, I mean, I have been right all along when it comes to the information that's out there and the information that I get. Listen, nobody is closer to this case that isn't in the club or a close family member of somebody involved. You know, I have poured my heart and soul into listening to every one of the family that gets a hold of me that says, hey, this is going on. Why is this going on? Or this is why this is going on. Because, like I said, a lot of them understand from different perspectives or with different amounts of information what's happening. But it's good for all of them. And, you know, when it comes to John and Ray, they're still going to have to do a little bit of time. Ray may very well be eligible for parole once he is sentenced. We'll just have to see. Ray does have quite a few points racked up when it comes to priors. He's done time in the feds twice already before this conviction, things like that. Todd says his macaroni salad is fire. That's right. Speculation is wildly different than asking the context clues people have been giving and prior knowledge of the legal system to make an inference. Not hard to piece some of this together. Exactly. But none of us saw. And I did see a lot of comments when I was told it was Robbie Huff that took Doughboy out. Well, it was, right? It was just JoJo was the trigger man. They did that together and got rid of Doughboy together. I saw a lot of comments on that video saying, oh, you know, basically they're blaming the guy who's been sent to the upper room by another guy who is presumed to be sent to the upper room. And it is ironic when it's like that. It's like, yeah, okay, right? It's hard to believe. Blame it on the guy that can't defend himself and say he's the one who did it. I get it. But JoJo Hardesty's still alive and has complete immunity from this case and lied the entire way through. And basically, since it's unraveling, since the defendants have gotten a hold of this, their lawyers have gotten a hold of this confidential human source tied to JoJo and Robbie Huff that was also a informant at the time and got JoJo arrested, it's all done. It's all over. And Judge Chen is in his 70s. He's going to be retiring soon. And it almost looks to me like he is trying to hold this off until he's retired, so that he doesn't have to go down in history as the judge who botched a trial against 5 Hells Angels and gave them all life sentences, knowing that they were innocent of it. And so he's just trying to hold this off till his retirement. Possibly. we do know that this confidential human source that has been working with the government for far before this became a case, she just all of a sudden couldn't be found around their court date. But oops, afterwards, hey, we found her. She'll be there in September. Now let's see. She better be there. I think it's September 25th. They have this evidentiary hearing that had to be continued because they couldn't find her all of a sudden. And it's wild. On another topic, did you watch Crusher's video? Sounds like the Mongols. Redding is flipped to Fella's MC. Yeah, so I did. Shout out Crusher. And, you know, Crusher was a big source of the information that I was reporting on for the last year when it comes to Redding. So, you know, or not so much just, not Crusher exactly, but Crusher knows how to run a chapter up there is all I'm going to say. And he knew who to get the information to and how to get it to me. And then we would just talk about other shit when we talk. But if you want to know exactly what the day-to-day going on in the Redding, especially with the Redding Hells Angels, Crusher is the one. That's the guy. He's the one who's going to be able to tell us he was the one telling us, basically, not in person, but you know what I'm saying. He was floating it down to us and, you know, made the connections. The fellas, shout out Fitz, shout out the fellas, Infidel, all of you guys, salute to you guys. They're just getting stronger and stronger, you know, and that, especially in like Shasta, I did see what Crusher did. Crusher has, yeah, Mark, Crusher's, and he ain't got no punk in him. You guys remember, me and Breeze had done a show, and I showed Breeze a picture of a member of the Mongols, and he's on his bike, and then there's this 81 prospect or supporter or something that's standing on the side of the road looking down at his bike on the ground. That was Crusher in that. You know, that was Crusher. So, yeah. Shout out to Crusher. He's I like how they're opening up and they're talking about specific things. They're not going into like anything crazy that's going to get anybody in a bad light or indicted, but they're kind of talking about the cool stuff that we all kind of know about. You know, him speaking on Redding Hells Angels, that was cool. And there's a lot of people that are going to say he shouldn't do that. Do it. Fuck them. You know? I hear my dogs. They're out there tussling. That's what they do, though. Very solid gentlemen, them fellas, Mr. Blue says. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's, they are, and the fellas were the catalyst for the unity movement. Obviously, the Mongols are the ones who brought it all together. Them and the Vagos pushing the unity movement up in Northern California, top North California, on a big way. And the fellas was that real piece to it, right? When the fellas came in, and then the Queens of Chaos, and you have like Resurrection, Silent Ones, things like that, which Silent Ones is a Vagos support club, but you know, you have the clubs like that. And really, I look at it like this. He was talking about Scotty, and I absolutely agree 100% with what Crusher was saying. Scotty is the only one who can go up there and save Redding. He's going to have to do it by cleaning it up and straightening those guys out. And I do know Kevin, I believe, is his cousin or something. So, like, you know, when you mix family and club business, inevitably it doesn't turn out so well. But especially in things like this. But if you ask me, the Redding Hells Angels are are looking terrible. You got Allen and Kevin up there doing whatever. And now they're beating their chest, and they shouldn't, because what they don't understand is this, and I call him Jon Snow, right? The King of the North. Well, Jon Snow is returning, and I'm not talking about anybody from Oakland coming to Reading, right? I'm talking about the man who was running everything up there. And so they're about to, it's like Crusher said, they better grow. They better spend this time growing strong and figuring it the fuck out, because they're about to be under the same type of, if not a little bit more stringent of a thumb that is taking it personal. And we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Rick, what happened to Sean from 81 rating? Humble ass. I don't know. Ask that same question. Go to Rolling with Crusher. Next time he's live, ask him. With Crusher and with Crusher leaving the Mongols and starting his own YouTube, I really do believe that it's Crusher's lane to talk about the Reading area when it comes to all of that. It would be in poor taste. I don't need to speak for them anymore, because now you have somebody who is embedded in that area, deeply involved in the situation, that is on YouTube and can talk about it. So I think, I mean, Crusher's the guy with all of that info. So now when it comes to Jon Snow showing back up doing his thing, I'm going to definitely report on that, because me and Jon Snow are cool as fuck together. That's my bro right there. So I'll definitely shout out Jon Snow. I know you know who I'm talking to. You know, I'll call you here in a week or so. Red and White had their booth set up at Rock the Block in Chilliwack yesterday. You know, not for nothing, Crusher had said, hey man, these dudes wasn't out doing nothing when they were up there. And, you know, now they're feeling a little more freedom because they're not getting pressed every day. And they weren't even getting pressed. What it is they were just showing that they are who we all think that they are. You know, they're cool to talk shit to women, but they ain't going to talk shit to Crusher. They ain't going to talk shit to these men. And you can practice cage fighting with your painted toenails all you want. You ain't fronting up on Crusher. I promise you that. That is a big old boy right there. He is. You would rather eat the dead ass of a weak dead skunk, dude. Get out of here. Nope. Sure hate to see 81 fall into hard times. Thanks to weak leadership in some areas. Mark, that's exactly what's happened too. Because the strong leadership, here's what strong leadership is. Take the case that we're talking about here. Well, Richmond, when it comes to JoJo, presumably JoJo was kicked out for a reason, right? And I'm very careful when I talk about Richmond and their business. I try not to, because those are just solid men who deserve not for me to be speaking too much on their business. But I'm talking about JoJo pretty much. JoJo was kicked out after it's found out that JoJo sent Doughboy to the upper room. JoJo then shows up very, very quickly after with a broken jaw, no Harley, and is arrested for Doughboy's passing, for taking Doughboy out. Richmond didn't play that shit. They heard what happened. But they didn't take JoJo out, you know, but they put him out of the club. That's strong leadership. That's taking care of business, right? Taking care of your trash. Same thing with Fresno. You know, Robbie Huff was involved in taking Doughboy out, unsanctioned. And Robbie Huff is missing. Now, I'm not going to say that Fresno didn't or did not do any of that, but Levi Phipps, the funeral home director, testified that the man who was there 8 months earlier with Doughboy's remains, pointing a banger in his face, making him dispose of Doughboy's remains, also said that the next time remains showed up, it was the man who held the banger to his face, Robbie Huff. Also, though, how much can you put on Levi Phipps when we're talking many, many dozens of times the incinerator read an anomaly that matches when you add another human's remains into an incinerator when you're incinerating somebody. So Levi Phipps, yeah, I don't know. I got no issues with him. Dude was out there making money. He was hustling the incinerator business in that area, and I can't hate on that at all. But I'm just saying, when it comes to believing his testimony, there are little things out there where it's like, well, you're telling some of the truth. Like what Levi Phipps says, I believe is true. I think he's just forgetting to say anything else after, and for his own, you know, personal gain, because then he would be charged with illegally disposing of something dozens and dozens and dozens of times. So, what's up, Bone Crusher? Tommy Thunder Gang, that's my homie. I hope you're doing good. I know that you've had health issues for probably right around a year now, maybe a little bit more. And I hope that you're healing and you're doing good, brother. You're one of the good ones. All right. Beatles, JoJo was a man who thought he was a woman. Uh-oh. You know, I see only 4 likes. I see 50, but everybody hit that like button real quick. It costs you nothing. Double tap your screen. Let's run them likes up. Tell YouTube that you like listening to my dumbass talk about dumbass shit. All right. Calvin, I see you, Cal. 81, what leadership? Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Cal, it goes beyond that. The real solid charters are full of chiefs that know how to get along together, right? And it's like Angelo said when I did the interview with him. Everybody, at least up until the last 10 years, everybody who eventually would become a Hells Angel was also probably one of the OG big dogs in their hood growing up, right? Or in prison or whatever. Like, that's kind of what you want. They are the they're the model for it, right? And I don't think it's a too many Chiefs, not enough Indians thing. I think that the Indians are overwhelming the Chiefs. In specific areas, there are no Chiefs at all. Reading is prime example of that. Humboldt, Wilmington, Wallkill had somebody that kept it all together, got rid of him, Tony, and then it all fell apart, right? It's these little pockets of Indians who are pretending to all be chiefs, by the way, but they're just running the thing into the ground, acting cool with the community, threatening women who have brain tumors and things like that. And it's like, bro, that shit don't fly no more. You can't be doing that. I'm going to put your ass on blast for it. I've heard 81 members say half their problems are caused by the dumbass supporters. Calvin, 100%. Every one of the window lickers that comes in and comments in my comments, all kinds of slick, stupid shit, like they're speaking for the 81, when in all reality, I probably talk to more Hells Angels on a weekly basis than they do, for sure. But they're in here trying to tell me how, no, listen, bro, miss me with that. Go over there, kiss Hells Angel ass all you want. I have respect for the Hells Angels I have respect for. I talk to the ones that I do, and I don't go above and beyond just talking shit about a whole club, because there are many, many solid members and many, many solid charters. I'm just picking at the lames. But, and it's always their supporters. They come and they try to tell me the rules of the game on what I should and should not be speaking on. It's like, get out of here, lame. Beat feet, Dort. Couldn't even make it. Out there running around with a support sticker on your bike. So you're a cheerleader for grown men that dressed it like the same way and ride around on motorcycles. That's what you are to me. Because I've never wanted to be in a motorcycle club. And the only thing that I ever wanted to be a part of through prison, I became a part of. So, like, yeah. Go ahead, bro. Charlie Mike. I'm glad. Yeah, bro. Like, let's call it what it really is. Now, there are clubs out there, like the fellas, that stand on business. They're a family together. They do family stuff together. They take care of their community. They show out. The BC Hells Angels just did it with this young kid who is stricken by this illness. Made the rest of his life that much better by showing up for this kid. Doing what they did for him was awesome. You have members like in Omaha, Rhino, who, rest in peace, Rhino, was just laid to rest. That his whole community was behind, and losing him actually hurt his whole community. These are great men. So I'm not talking to them. I'm talking about Reading, Wilmington, Humboldt, places like this that are like, they're the special needs Hells Angels. Can I coin that term? And I will go as far as to say this also. There are solid, strong members in each one of those rooms that does not deserve for me to say that about them as a whole. So those strong members can look around the room and they know who I'm talking about, because they feel the same way. They just can't do nothing about it, because charter autonomy, one man, one vote, has completely ruined everything for that solid member who is surrounded by window lickers. Yeah. What's up, RSP? New generation has problem with accepting old generation. It is a monster problem. A monster problem. But there are old generation or mid generation, I guess you could say too, that don't forget the difference between old generation, mid generation, new generation. The mid generation are people like John Nelson, who are as solid as they come. Then the older generation are people like Rusty Ott, who are legends, right? And then you have the newer generation. JoJo, Alan and Kevin, and, well, I guess they're probably mid-generation, but, you have these new clowns that come in, and they listen to the mid-generation to kick out the old generation. That's usually how the back door goes when it comes down to it. Is guys get into the club, and usually between their 5th and their 10th year, in the Hells Angels is what I'm talking about, because this is where I've seen this. In between their 5th and 10th year, they start feeling themselves. They got that 5 patch on, right? They're maybe their buckle. Miranda, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Maybe they got their 10-year buckle. They're starting to feel themselves as Hells Angels get comfortable. They're starting to look at the old man. They've been listening to this motherfucker talk for 10 years. I've been hearing him talk about the same old stories, right? And not only that, he's making all the patches. on this side of the country for Hell's Angels. I bet he makes a lot of money doing that. Man, if I could just move him out of the way, I can make those patches. I can make that money. And I ain't got to listen to this old man's stories that I've heard a million times. Old man ain't done nothing. He ain't done nothing but been a good Hell's Angel his entire career and done more for the Hell's Angels than this mid-level fucking member will ever do. But he gets these youngsters. Says, yeah, the old man, I don't know, man. He's acting funny. Oh, he was kissing on the youngster's mom, who the youngster brought to a party drunk at 60 years old. And he's the only other 60-year-old person in there. Who the fuck are you think is going to talk to each other? Oh, no, they're over there getting close. Youngster, that's not right. Old man shouldn't be doing that. That's your mom, bro. It's not against the rules. And that's how the mid-level men move out the old-timers, using the youngsters as crash dummies. That's the story of how Doc got kicked out of the Hells Angels by a mid-level member, Heath, using a youngster and his mother. Scene. You know? So, that's the craziness. And the whole time, Heath has taken a gang enhancement on a plea deal. He pled guilty to a gang enhancement. But nobody looks into it. Where's Oakland on this? Where's Richmond on this? Heath from Highlands, from SAC up there, right? Took a gang enhancement on a plea deal. It is in the court documents. All you got to do is look. That's against your guys' rules. Why is he the president? And, not for nothing, if you guys decided that he should no longer be a member of the Hells Angels, well, then he won't be able to make those patches and the money making those patches, because somebody else who is a Hells Angel should be put in charge of that and make that money. That's what you call karma. So, Heath, good luck. This is how it crashed out on the internet. Politics. PJ from UBNC in the house. What's up, PJ? That is a long name. Strong, strange, unbelievable, unexplained. Do you have an actual channel? Because if you go to my Instagram and look, all of the people that I follow are like these explain the universe, different just facts of history or you know, biology or whatever. I just like to learn. And I like those type of channels where they just kind of run down mind-blowing stuff that you never knew. Like Cleopatra actually lived closer to the iPhone than she did the building of the Pyramid of Giza. The more you know. Here on YouTube's videos, okay. Let's see. He says, F the HA. They are nothing but a bunch of bums. Big Daddy Rod, I can't agree with that. Because I have interactions with current and former Hells Angels that I have the utmost respect for. I have heard and seen many, many, many stories of solid things that have been done by solid members. Greg Domi, right? You know, you have these members that Rod comes on and he says F them all, right? But it can't be, because there are men out there that are, there's a Rhino from Omaha who, not for nothing, lost his life well before he would have became eventually probably one of the greatest Hells Angels ever. He just didn't have enough time. Like, the dude knew how to move. He knew how to do things right. He took care of his family and his club. The guy was what you look for. So I can't get behind F Rhino because that's not true. It's rest in peace, Rhino, man. I saw what you were doing and it was amazing. But there are a lot of Hell's Angels, you know, where the world would be a better place without them. I will say that, but that goes with every club. And those are, I won't say it about the fellas. Every other club but the fellas. You know? And when it comes to clubs like the Mongols, they have treated me far different than anybody would ever think that they act, right? They have... You have supporters of 81 and 81, anytime I talk about the 81, that come at me and low-key try to, you know, say this crazy shit, try to shake me, shit like that. It's not going to work, but they do it inevitably every time I talk about them. I got some window licker talking shit to me, right? I talk about the Mongols. I tell the story of, say, Lil Dave in Palm Springs or anything. The cop that was arrested in San Bernardino riding with his friend. Shit like that. Every Mongol that got a hold of me in the background said, thank you. I like what you're doing. Keep doing this. Thank you for giving us a fair shake on the way that you actually dug into this. Right? Not the 81, though. Not their supporters. No. And that's the problem, is you got to look at me. I'm a member of the community too. And I see how you're acting to me. And I see how the Mongols are acting to me. And that just blows up into all these communities because the Mongols are acting the same exact way they are to me, to all of the clubs in their area and all of the people in their area. Right? The little old ladies and all. And the Hells Angels and Hells Angels supporters are acting to me the same way that they're acting to their community and the people around them too. And it is noticeably different. You can go on to say anything you want about 1% this or 1% that. 1% doesn't mean be a big asshole all the time to everybody. You got to have respect for somebody or else they're going to come get it. And that's just how that goes. Now the Mongols are the ones who, you don't want to respect me? Cool. We'll see you when we see you then. And that's how they've really just, they're taking Northern California. They're pressing everything into the Bay Area. And it's the Hells Angels' fault. It's not like the Mongols forcefully moved themselves into any of these places. They saw openings from weak charters. They saw weak men trying to hold the gate. And they came running through the gate. Yeah. I would have no problem doing that. Oh, see? I mean, it happens. Robert Lugo was the best 81 in the North Cal set. Listen, and I mean, when it comes to Reading, there's two Readings also, right? There's Reading of old, where Bobby G was hiding out when all the stuff happened from the cops that were trying to arrest him and stuff, right? When you have, you know, Bobby and I think Fuzzy was up there for a little bit. There were a lot of people up there, right? Bobby T was up there. Anyway, that all got shut down. Then Scotty comes in, reopens it with his cousin and some other people. You know, Alan from Highlands comes over fresh off of, you know, backdooring Doc, the legend out of the club. And they got Shane, you know, and Shane held it together because he actually has the mindset of a businessman who can hold it together, not a tweaker. And I'm not calling those men tweakers. I'm saying they act like tweakers. Right? They don't pay their bills before they go blow their money, or they don't think about how they're going to make more money so that down the road they can pay their property taxes and electric bill. So in all reality, Shane was the father figure in that room. He was the responsible one. And what do? Well, they decide to get together, backdoor Shane on some bullshit that just is absolutely a lie and untrue. And they're going to take the charter over for themselves, and we run this Kevin and Alan show over here, right? Okay. Look at where it's at now, guys. You know, now you're going to have Scotty come in, who absolutely knows how to get everything back into order, or else shut Reading down. Humboldt, at least I can't talk shit about Humboldt as much. You know, they did you know, run from a couple of fades, things like that, sure. But they are good to their community. I've had people in the Humboldt area get a hold of me and tell me that they're, you know, that they're good with their community. They know how to throw parties. They know how to do things right. And they're mad at Reading because Reading pressed them for 2 years or something to pay their bills too. And finally Humboldt broke free of it. You know, but yeah. My Blues. Yeah, hey, shout out Resurrection. What's up, OC? I see you, Seabass. Cue Ball, I see you. Resurrection. That's a good club right there. Good club. Good bunch of guys from and I've been asking around a lot about them. Now I do have somebody close to me whose cousin was in Resurrection and maybe ran afoul of them and did them dirty. And now this is a personal friend of mine, was like, now I can't really go around Resurrection because of what my cousin did. And it's like, it shouldn't be held against him, what his cousin did, you know. But what can I tell a club? You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you guys to be one way or the other. I just know Resurrection is going to thrive when the big things that are shaping up in that area come to fruition. They've already started, and it's going to absolutely intensify and become a thing. And Resurrection is one of those frontlining clubs that backs the unity, and it's like their eyes have been opened, I guess. And same with the Fellas, same with Queens of Chaos, right? You have these clubs up north that they're tired of the same old bullshit. These guys talking shit to us, making us buy tickets to their bullshit, and then they don't even put it on. How many support club, how many Ramblers had to buy tickets for the Reading Hells Angels, thinking that they were going to have drift cars and stunt bikes, bought these tickets, got all their family to buy these tickets to put money in these dickheads' pockets, and then they got the nerve to talk shit to or about you, overcharge you to come to their lame-ass event that never went on, so that you can go hang out with them at the clubhouse. You could have done that on any Saturday. You didn't have to buy a ticket to do that shit. You know? Now, I won't shit on the band. The band at the Reading Rock or whatever. It wasn't even Reading Rock. Not Reading Rock. Good band. But shit, they probably get more people that show up to their shows at a bar than they did at this not Reading Rock. Yeah. So, once the Ramblers see through the bullshit, then who does the Hells Angels in Reading have? And the Ramblers ain't no punks. Them dudes are not chumps right there. It's just, maybe they're just loyal to, at the end of the day, probably idiots. You know, when it comes to, at least, the guys in Reading 81. And I know it goes outside of Reading. All these club politics, and there's different chapters in different areas. So just because it's shaky over here doesn't mean it's shaky everywhere else. So kind of got to deal with this bullshit over here. But what about those men? What about those ramblers that, you know, you got the 81 just acting a fool to or about, and the whole time you're funding their bullshit? Or you could go to the Unity tip, which is still thriving. Like we've heard. Mongols members have gone to the fellas, making them even stronger. The Vagos, that's going to be a whole thing that we're going to see playing out. The return of Jon Snow in that area, who has a absolute kingpin mind when it comes to how to do this shit. He's the one who kept these monkeys in the circus, you know, and now they're going to have to deal with what they've done to him. So, what's up, Uncle Todd? Uncle Todd, listen, are you going to go? I've heard, and you don't have to answer. You usually never answer me with straightforward anyway. But I heard you were going to be on Soft White Underbelly. Is that true? Because if so, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited. You know, I understand my place when it comes to YouTube. A few people that I have interviewed, and I've been very picky, if you haven't noticed, about who I bring on an interview and do actual interviews with, right? Uncle Todd, just our history and everything, I would absolutely love to. But I know what my channel is. It's like a stepping off point with Pee Wee, with Mooch. I hope to get Mel on. But I want to do that in person because I believe that the interviews become that much more important. And I really have to respect you as a person and to do an interview with you. And now everybody except Angelo, because Angelo doesn't want to do interviews, I think. I think Angelo just wants to live his life. He has children that he's raising. He's being a good father, and he doesn't want anything to do with any of the bullshit any longer, right? He's just kind of wants to disappear out of the scene almost. Everybody has ended up on Vlad or Sean Ryan, and that's cool for me because I'm like, damn, look at that interview. The one that Mooch did with Sean Ryan. Crazy interview. Crazy. And I'm just honored that I got to be able to do something with Mooch or do something. Pee Wee didn't talk to anybody for 13 years. He stayed silent. The very first place that he did any of this for the first year was with me. I went to that man's house. You know, I sat with him and just talked about everything we could and did an amazing interview with him. And now look, his whole story has got out there. It's B.A. Rob from Ventura. Nobody will ever get to interview them. I'm the only one that got to. And that's crazy because those are two of... every one of my interviews has been amazing. And I'm about to do one because I want to branch. I don't want to... I'm obviously never going to stop doing the motorcycle club's news and stories and information, right? Never. Because I've built connections over time, and these are personal connections and I find what I do to be rewarding, and it helps, right? So I'm never going to go away from that or even slow that down. But I want to add other layers to this channel. I want to do a video on escape attempts from ADX in Florence, Colorado, right? If there have been any. I don't know yet because I haven't plugged it in to ChatGPT to ask it, right? But then I'm going to go from that. I'm going to start researching that, do a video on that. I don't even know if anybody has done a video on that. I have somebody who I consider my friend, whose uncle was one of the most disturbed, notorious killers out of California, that was a part of the most disgusting case I've ever heard. This is his nephew, though, who was a baby when it all happened. And I do believe that it interests me enough to where I want to hear what his nephew has to say about what it did through his life, right? How this has changed his life, how it has made a difference to him and his family who were Mormons, right? So there are different things I want to add on to doing this channel, but I'm not going away from anything when it comes to the motorcycle clubs, because I am honored enough to be able to be inside a lot of these stories or conversations, and I'm honored enough and lucky enough to be the guy that gets the phone calls for that. So, the Runoff Brigade. I don't know what that is. Margot Compton case was okay. So this one involved Jacob DeLashmet. Is his uncle. It's a guy named Josh that I've been talking to. I've known through the YouTube scene for a couple of years. We never really talked until recently. We've started to actually talk a lot. And his uncle, if you look up Jacob DeLashmet, hard rock bands, killers, basically, it's disgusting. Disgusting what they did. But this kid, he had nothing to do with it. Josh had nothing to do with that. But it absolutely, his life has been just steered by having this family monster, you know? And you add on to the aspect of them being members of the Mormon church. So it's that much more people staring at you, shit like that. I want him to come on and tell his story. And I think it'll be good. And there are many people that hate him for things that he said or done on the internet. When it comes to the community that he's more known in, that's got nothing to do with the story. What I want to do on my channel, it's like Sean Ryan. You think he cares what anybody has to say about any of these people that he's interviewing? No, he cares about the story. I have to actually look at this, take this serious, and say, hey, this is a crazy story. This is something that should be put out there on the internet. And he has done 0 interviews or 0 anything like this, really, in a true format. And I once again, I get to be the first in this crazy thing, or this amazing interview, I'm hoping. So it'll be cool. Uncle Todd, I see you. I see you talking about Breeze. Shout out Uncle Todd. Shout out Breeze. I'm not going to come off of that. I'm not going to come out of character when it comes to them. I hope that they both do well. I hope that they have a good Easter together again sometime. And I hope no bamboos are used in any manner besides to hold up a leaf planted in a potter, you know. Did you see the new serial sender to the upper rumor they believe they found in Philadelphia? Miranda, I did not. But let me get a pen. It's crazy. It's like a morbid fascination too, but it's huge. If you look at Netflix, there's entire channels that are dedicated to this type of content, right? At the end of the day, you look at, God, I don't even know what the channel is, but women watch it all the time. And basically it's like, I almost got away with it, or how to get away with this, or those kind of channels, right? All they talk about is cases where people were sent to the upper room, you know? And it's like, we all have that kind of, I don't know, fascination or morbid fascination in that. I just like the twist and turn type of, whoa, what type of cases, the things that blow your mind back, right? And you're just like, wow. So I think doing the interview with Josh can be a good breakthrough of adding a different layer of content to the channel. At the end of the day, I like to do profiles, right? Profiles on people's stories. And this is a profile. Rick, his name is R.C. Horsch. The cat in Philly. I know what she's talking about, Isaac. Okay. I'm going to have to check it out. Listen, at any given time, there's like 100 or so active, I think. I saw like 111 or something was on average at any given time in the United States of serial senders to the upper room. That's a lot. That is a lot. That is 2 per state running around causing chaos, havoc, taking lives. Insanity. Women love them. Some true crime genre. See, Joe, I'm telling you, they really do. And soap operas, listen. Aunt Jean in the home used to watch this crazy soap opera when I was young, maybe 10 or so. But I remember there was some guy, Stefano, had kidnapped some lady, Marlene, I think was her name, and erased her memory. And all I remember is Aunt Jean would be yelling at Stefano and Marlene all day, every day, midday, about what's on this soap opera. It was crazy. Now that I think about it, like, those soap operas were wild. I don't even know what soap opera was at Days of Our Lives. Crazy. And just so you guys know, that was pre-cable. So we only had like a couple of channels back then. Y'all don't know about analog and having to like actually turn the dial to and the rabbit ears, and sometimes have to hold them damn rabbit ears. You know, you'd be standing there watching God, me and Brandon used to like this Vietnam show back in the day, Tour of Duty. And then there was something about a helicopter, something wolf. And of course the A-Team and stuff like that. MASH. Yeah, that kind of shit. Where you just hold on to the rabbit ears and just be standing there watching TV too. And then you tell your brother at the commercial break, it's your turn. Y'all know about that life? If you don't, Airwolf. That's it, cue ball. Airwolf was legit for, you know, 10 to 12-year-old kid or 8 years old or whenever it came out. 6 years old maybe. There were some crazy shows back then that we used to watch. I used to love them. Knight Rider and Airwolf, I think, came on the same day. And Tour of Duty was our favorite, though. We absolutely loved that show. And I've seen one of these off-app channels on the TV has picked up Tour of Duty, where you can go watch it. And I've been thinking about buying that app just to watch Tour of Duty over again as an adult. It's crazy. And then wrestling was huge back then. I mean, listen. And that was back in the day when it was Brutus the Barber Beefcake. That was, you know, with the barbershop. And Shawn Michaels kicked Marty Jannetty over through it. And all of that, bro. All of that. The Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Miss Elizabeth. All of that. Craziness. Andre the Giant. This before The Undertaker. And then The Undertaker came in and just absolutely destroyed it all. It was awesome. It's wrestling. Yeah. Now I don't even watch wrestling. And I haven't the entirety of my adulthood. I just remember as a kid, I clearly remember just sitting and watching every week. We could not get enough. And it was WWF back then. So, acting was terrible back then. Joker Smoker, you ain't lying. Joker Smoker, I want to thank you for sending me Dr. Pepper money. I do appreciate that on PayPal. And Mike, I really appreciate you for shooting me a Venmo. That came through in a big way, and I really appreciate both of those. I want to give you guys a shout out. I still watch the old shit. Listen, on Peacock, I think it is. Not only do they have all the old stuff that you can watch when it comes to wrestling, but they have this like series, and they focus on just one wrestler, and it's a great series about wrestling. Each person coming through, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, all that, right? I saw something the other day. Since we're speaking about true crime and we're speaking about wrestling, you know this crazy lady in a wheelchair, this Clancy lady, right? I've obviously been watching that, been watching the Tupac trial, and now Lil Durk is on trial. I'm kind of into watching that too. I don't know why. I have zero skin in the game when it comes to that kind of, you know, those kind of street gangs and shit. But it's interesting to me, right? There's a bunch of shit that happened. I'd just like to know the chaos. So this Clancy lady, if you haven't looked it up, go look up the case, catch yourself up on it a little bit. All the women that are in the comments and anything about this Clancy lady, almost kind of taking up for her. Well, she had depression. She had this. You know, you have to feel for her. No, you took your kids out, right? That's not cool. Fuck your feelings. None of these women were in, was it Chris Benoit who took his family out? None of these women were over there crying for that dude. Why? How is that different? What he did to his family and what you did to your family, same damn thing. You're both pieces of shit for it. Yeah. That's how you try to or tie true crime and wrestling into current events right now. It's wild. Apparently, yes, because to other women, yeah, I mean, listen. I saw a text message recently that was put on like Instagram of a woman was dating a guy and told him that she has empathy for this Clancy lady. Old boy broke up with her through a text message and said, you know, I'm looking for a potential mother of my children. And if you're going to sympathize with a woman who did that to hers, you ain't for me, lady, and broke it off with her. And I was dying laughing when I saw that. I was like, oh, get him, bro. Like, and it's true. Because if you think that's okay, you want to become the mother of my children, now I have to worry because you sympathize with a woman who literally just took out all of hers. It's crazy work. Please don't do that to your kids, women. And I understand there's a lot that goes on with women. They have certain feelings about what it does to their body to have children, or their attractiveness, or whatever, right? Pheromones, hormones, whatever, going wild. There's a lot of depression that comes with having a child. I understand that. I absolutely understand that. Where I draw the line is harming that kid. Period. Nope. Nothing in my life has ever driven me to want to harm one of mine. Ever. I don't so much as even spank my kids. Never have. Won't do it. They're my kids. I'm a grown-ass man. They're little kids. Can't do it. Can't do it. CMC TNT, salute to you, my brother. I'm living there, Clancy. Oh, yeah. And the fact that, listen, she tried to bang and then jumped out the window and still lived through it is like, yeah. Yeah. That's such instant karma on a huge level. And of course, she's claiming that she has amnesia. You know, which she might well have. She just did a gainer out of the second story window and, you know, went headfirst into the concrete, barely lived through it. So it might have racked her brain enough to not remember something, or just the psychological break of what she did. You know, it might be suppressed. I can understand that. But it doesn't make you any less guilty, and you're still the most horrible woman, at least of this decade. Yeah, I'll give her that award. We're halfway through the decade, and so far you're running up front. You are running up front, lady. And the last one before you was that Susan Smith lady, who they found the kids in the car in the lake, and she blamed it on some black dude. Yep. Shoot those donations. We don't know if we're going to get this one monetized or not. Shit. We might have to go through and do a lot of editing. But yeah, I mean, oh, Joe Below, Casey Anthony. She takes the cake for it all. And how she was found not guilty, I don't even understand it. I have no clue. That's why you lose faith in the American public and people. They can't seat 12 people that go, what you did is bad, lady. You can't do that. Instead, you got one weeping person over here that feels for the mother who did that and says, oh, she's not guilty because her mind wasn't right when she did it. No, she's guilty. And her mind wasn't right when she did it. Not because of it, and. Fucking wild. But we can't say Casey Anthony did it because in a court of law, they said she didn't do it. So, whatever. Screaming they're picking on me. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. And Miranda, I know in person, and is a mother of small children, by the way. Yep. She ain't out there lighting her kids up like that, dude. She ain't out there just sending them to the upper room. She been through it all. She knows what it's like to be a single mother, not to put her business out there like that. All kinds of shit. You know where you don't see her? In the fucking newspaper doing something bad to her kid. So, you're not going through anything, Miss Clancy, that other women aren't going through just as much as you. And somehow they hold themselves together not to do something like that. But everybody wants to feel sorry for you doing it. No, because I know women going through exactly what you were, actually worse, because the husband, although he was probably had a girlfriend that looked just like this lady, whatever, was cheating on her. And she had these kids, and she felt hopeless, living in a nice house, right? All that. Miranda didn't get, she's had to fight for everything she's had. Right? Alone. So, and she's found a way not to take it out on her kids. How about that? Wild. The more you know. You know? Like shit, dude. There's women worse off than you that didn't do it in this world. That don't do it on a daily basis. A very, 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 very disproportionate percentage of women that don't take it to where you took it to. I feel zero sorrow or empathy for you. I hope that you burn in hell and you get every bit of what you got. Coming. Your karma should never stop. Ever. Right. All about her, Mark. Exactly. Exactly. And there's something to say, you know, I mean, listen. There's a value in women, right? And the value in women in the 1940s and the value of women today has shifted greatly. When it comes to the family dynamic, home dynamic. Independent women should be independent, do your thing, right? But every guy running around like a simp hitting on you doesn't help you, because what it does is it it inflates your self-worth and your ego artificially, to where you believe that you're worth more than you're actually bringing to a relationship. And I try to surround myself and only befriend powerful women that can do it on their own, but actually want to love a guy for a guy. And that's hard to find, because you got these, you know, dick suckers that run around and just, oh, my queen, and let me pay all your bills for you, and you don't have to do, like it's a partnership. Both people have to put into a relationship, or else it's bullshit. You know, it's a OnlyFans era where these women think that all they have to bring to the table is a piece of ass, and some dude's just supposed to take care of her, and I don't prescribe to that. Yeah. Every company has to do a whole, yeah, Daniel. Nothing means shit to anybody anymore. It's gotten bad, the entitlement. And it's in guys too. These young men, or wannabe poser men, you know, they're not any better than these women. I personally, I don't even, I won't even look towards a woman that I don't think is 35 years old or older. Because you just, listen, your brain ain't functioning right till you're about 35 at least. I don't even want to talk to you, because you're still pretty much retarded to me. You know? But these beta males out here are running around just, they got the game fucked up. Most of them dress like them now. It's all bad. It's all bad. You know, in the 90s, sure, guy liner, I guess, was a thing. I never got into it. But the rock band scene and all that, yeah. They're taking this to a different level. Different level. Because they'd still fight your ass outside, you know, in the 90s. Now these kids are like safe space and, yeah, empathy. I don't know. It's crazy. It's a wild work. It's wild work. They get that, yeah. I'm telling you. And they simp out. They simp right on out. Has that been termed? I know I can't be the first one that came up with that. With the whole, Chud the Builder and all that shit going on. Has anybody ever said simping out when it comes to these young boys, 20-year-old, 21-year-old guys that are looks maxing and, treating every woman like she's the greatest goddess of the world, and rarely are they. If you can't have a normal conversation, talk about anything normal, if you can't have some kind of worth, shit. If your looks are the only thing that you have to bring to the table, these guys are jumping all over that. For me, miss me with that. Don't even come in my comments. Don't come in my DMs, all that shit. Don't talk to me. Actually, just don't. Even if you feel like you have worth, don't. Because I'm so over all of that. I got one woman in my life. Well, she's a girl. Scarlett, my daughter. That's it. That's all I need. The game has been ruined for me. I'm good. I'm happy being alone. Men are weak now, I think Sean Tink says. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And it's boiling over into the motorcycle club world too. And the rest of the world. Don't get me wrong. What do they call them? YNs? These YNs are out here going crazy. Them kids don't care about nothing. It's like they're ready to go to prison at all times and just out there acting a fool. So there are dangerous aspects of the younger generation. But on a whole, I think that they believe that they are owed far more than they are. They have put in a lot less to even the household they grew up in. These kids ain't taking the trash out, washing the dishes, mopping the floors. They've never had to slop the pigs. You know what I'm saying? They've never had to pick a pink eye, purple hole pea in their life. These kids ain't had to do shit. Right? They weren't kicked out of the house and told, do not come home until it's dark. And it's not for any reason. It's not like your parents was in there throwing a rave and trying to keep you away from their debauchery. No, they just didn't want to hear your dumbass shit. Get outside. Leave me the hell alone. I want to watch Days of Our Lives in peace. You come back when tour duty's on. You know? But these kids today, you know, I hear my kids yelling on these video games, talking to mad as shit to each other. I'm like, fool, when I was growing up, you talk to somebody like that, you get punched dead in your face. Well, what are you doing? You can't talk like that. Yeah, it's GTA all day. Daniel, it's like that for this generation. They don't watch no shows. They don't watch nothing. You ask a kid about any sitcom or any, you know, NFL game that's coming up, or teams, or, you know, who's playing what position in this NBA, NFL, Major League, any of that shit, right? They don't know. They don't know shit because they ain't had to go out and play baseball. I made my son play baseball. I was the coach of his team for 4 years for that shit. Happy birthday, Miranda. And Miranda's one of the good ones. I'm trying to hit that heart button right there. That's one of the actual good ones right there. There are very few out there, you know. I've met a couple along the way. Dago, Jen. There's just very, very few solid women out there anymore. And I'm cool. 46 years old, I'm cool with shutting it down. I have other shit to do in my life. I don't give a shit about none of that. Y'all have at it. Find those kids that are simping out. They'll be all over it. I was told to go play on the freeway. Huck said. And they wasn't playing either. It was like, go do whatever. We had bottle rocket wars in the forest, all types of shit, right? Go swimming in fishing holes that you ain't gonna see the bottom, and there's definitely gonna be snakes and all types of other shit, right? They can get you. You're definitely gonna build 10 million tree houses out of the same pieces of wood, right? Once one tree is torn up enough to where you can't continue to build on it, then you got to go deeper in the woods to find one that has a good enough layout with his arms that you can put a nice flat flooring in, or try to, with the same pieces of lumber that you and your friends have come across throughout the years and been building tree houses with forever, right? None of that's happening anymore. Hey, Henley, thank you, Henley 209, for the Dr. Pepper money. I do appreciate it. I got to start laying off the Dr. Pepper, though. I'm getting too old to just keep... How long can a grown man continue to drink Dr. Pepper and really nothing else? How long is that going to last? I think I'm pressing the expiration date on being able to just continually drink nothing but soda. It's crazy. Can't be good for me. I do drink some tea, some water here and there, and a Gatorade once, twice a week. And coffee every morning. Choppers out of Schwinn, Stingrays. Exactly. And we all had a bike, and there was no, you can only go to the end of the road, or there was none of that. And I grew up in a home run by 3 old ladies with 40 kids. We would go everywhere. And we had hundreds of acres of land too. Listen, do your chores, do your homework, be back by dark. And we would just go. We'd be out in the woods. We'd do all kinds of stupid stuff. Nobody was watching us. Nobody was asking us. If the neighbors didn't come tell them we did something wrong, they never knew. And that was most of the time. Like a little redneck gang running around one little area, Laurel, Mississippi. It's the craziest thing. You know? Oh, Shady Grove, Mississippi, with just a little gang of newsies that's running around with no parents. That's kind of how we grew up, and it was cool, man. It was cool as hell. What's up, Sippy? Where I started riding on packs, 25 of us on scramblers, building jumps. Listen, cue ball. And they are not OSHA approved either. The ramps that we would build, in the beginning, they would rarely, you wouldn't even be able to jump, right? You just plow through it and then end up tumbling, right? Which was usually milk crates and a piece of plyboard or something like that. An old sign that fell down or that you knocked down. Then we got better at building ramps, a little sturdier. I remember we had 2 pine trees that did like this, right? And we built a ramp in between the pine trees, and if you didn't jump high enough, you were going to catch your pedals. So you had to get enough height to go between these 2 trees. I came off the ramp one time, and my pedal didn't get caught or anything. I hit this tree head on. And I'm pretty sure my body hit this tree before my bike did. And just thrashed myself. And you think I went crying home, busted up? Nope. I was more worried if my bike was busted up, which it wasn't. Which is probably why I headed into that tree before my bike did. I think I was trying to save my bike from injury and basically putting my life on the line to save my bike because that's the only one I'm getting. All of that. Oh, the pump? One pump only? Yeah, right, cue ball? Hey, till it... be stepping on that thing, bro. And you could take birds out with that thing back in the day. It was crazy. This generation brought you backflips on motorcycles. This is true. This is true. Travis Pastrana, the shit he did is insane. Insane. And he's not from my generation. He's from the next generation above me. He's one of those throwbacks, though. He should be a Gen X. He should. Definitely Diamondback to Mongoose. And if you got a Huffy, listen, you didn't like it so much, but you had a bike. It didn't matter. And nobody was really capping on you either back in the day. You know? Because I lived poor. I lived in a fucking children's home, bro. Like, we didn't get money. We got whatever was donated to us. Whatever people felt sorry for and gave us, right? So we rode Huffies and nobody made fun of that shit. Nobody. In the creeks, oh, bro. And then, all right, so you start out in your younger years playing in the creeks, right? Dipping your toe, then all of a sudden you're in the creek, then you're, you know, all that. Then you start building ramps to jump the creek. That's always a fun time too. Because there are no, I don't know one kid from my generation that decided, hey, we should build a landing ramp too. We never built landing ramps. Ever. Just a takeoff ramp. And you come flying through and sure, you get over that creek, but then you still got to come down and you're coming down flat. Boom. And just... But it was fun. It was fun. None of us made it across the creek the first time we tried to jump it. 100%. Straight to flat, bro. Straight to... And not just flat either. We're talking like land, right? We're talking holes and you know, molehills and just... This is not even leveled out flat land. This is country boy land. It's crazy. I don't even know how I survived my childhood. Hey, Brandon, I appreciate that a lot. 5 pounds. Salute to you. I'm guessing you're from Europe. I had a badass Robinson, all red with flight pads. Nice. Hey, there were some kids though, and that's how you knew a lot of them were going to be crazy with the stunts. And you know, when you show up on a 20-inch BMX bike, you know the noise that they make, right? When it's a legit BMX bike compared to your Huffy. Your Huffy don't make that noise. Just the card, the baseball card that you got, sitting there. No. But it is almost like a whistle tick at the same time. Man. Herb Dizzle. Herb shared a live yesterday, and there was these youngsters, and some of the dirt bikes they were on were gas. You could hear them, right? But a lot of them, a majority of them, were on electric bikes, right? Electric dirt bikes, pretty much. But they were in the city streets. Herb, where was that? It was a big old pack of them. And I saw a lot of people in the comments that were like almost dogging on these kids because it wasn't like a street takeover. It was a bunch of kids riding in a pack. I mean a bunch. There's probably 50, 60 kids riding, and they went up. God, where did they go? They went to like Rodeo Drive, and then they were riding back, and they're doing wheelies, and everybody's in the comments kind of talking shit to them, and I'm like, nah, bro, that's not cool. Why talk shit to those kids? They're out there just having fun. They're riding. They're not stopping traffic so much. They are kind of all rolling their pack through the city streets, red lights. But other than that, they're not causing accidents and they're not causing chaos. They're just out there doing tricks, stunts, as they're riding, right? Wheelies, things like that. They're not interacting with the public, attempting to be a nuisance as much. I thought it was cool. Now, when they start stopping and starting shit with people and all that, right? Or purposefully stopping traffic so that they can do donuts in the intersection, and they end up hitting some little old lady with their Challenger or Charger or whatever. Nah, bro, miss me with all that. You need to stop doing all that craziness. Throwing each other off, hitting each other, tail whipping. I seen this girl standing so close to them doing one of those intersection street takeovers, and I think it was a Challenger or something. Maybe it was a Camaro. Came swinging around, and this girl was standing, and she just, it threw her like probably 20, 30 feet. For me, I'm like, damn, I hope Scarlett never gets involved in something stupid like that, right? Hangs out with a bunch of idiots, and I'll try my best to keep her from doing that. So that's the kind of stuff I'm not with, but a bunch of people get together riding bikes. What's the difference in them and the Hells Angels USA run, or the Mongols, national run, or any of that? What's the difference? Them e-bikes are fast. Hey, a couple of them were. I was looking at them. I was like, I wonder how they handle off-road though, right? On actual dirt bike style terrain. It's hard for me to get behind any of the e-technology. It is. Because Herb can tell you, I shared, last night I found they were drifting in like maybe North Carolina or South Carolina or something. I think it was North Carolina. And there was this guy, he was live on YouTube, and he had like 4 people watching. And there was a track out in the middle of the country, and these amateurs brought their cars out, and they were racing, but they were hitting the corners, drifting every corner, right? So it's almost like a circuit track drift race. And I was into it, right? All the different cars. You had everything from American Muscle to the Japanese turboed out. You had Miatas in there with like LS swaps. It was crazy. I enjoy watching stuff like that. But the electric cars, I can't get behind yet. Now I have been on a at a track and watched as there was an older Chevy that had a blown motor. I don't know what size pulley he was pulling. I think he ended up running. Oh, he ran an awful time. It was like 17, 16, something like that, right? Which for him is probably good in that heavy ass truck. My point is, he lines up against one of those SUV Teslas. Boom, the tree hits. The Tesla gives him half the track and walks him down. And ends up putting in a far faster time, giving up half a track to this big old heavy older truck that had motor work done. And it's the craziest thing. I might have it on video. So there's something to the speed, especially if they put a motor on each wheel for these electric vehicles. Some of them are, I was watching Top Gear and they were in one, I forget who made it. It's some maker out of like Eastern Europe or something, and they don't make very many of them. It's the fastest 0 to 100 and back to 0. And the guys on Top Gear, the English version, were like, this is scary fast, because it had an electric motor on each wheel and the acceleration was just insane. So those electric cars are fast. I saw it firsthand. And the craziest thing is it makes zero noise. You could literally, when this truck takes off and he's about halfway down the track, third of the way down the track, all you hear is this electric car. You hear the tires gripping. You can hear almost the rubber sound from the sticky track as he takes off. It was crazy. It was nuts. And then he just was gone and just walked him down like the old 5.0s used to do with us in the Trans Ams. You know, we'd walk away 5 car lengths before the 5.0s could hook up, because they didn't hook up till about third gear, actually get traction. And then you're in your rearview mirror, you're in your side mirror, right? Because I got this whole shot on him, and this is what I have to hold while he's pulling in on me. And the 5.0s, you just watch him coming, and you're like, do I have enough track? You know, or does he have enough track? Can I outlast him bringing it on? So I miss doing that too. I miss the Vegas races. The Vegas races used to be so cool. We would go to out by the Silver Bowl, off of Arville. We would race out there. There was train tracks basically at Trop and Arville. So we would go over and there was like closed businesses, and we'd all show up on Arville right there in like Warm Springs or whatever and park. And you always park to where you can get out. The cops started to really bust us hard though. We'd have to go out to the Apex plant, and you can only run a couple of runs out there before you have to come back in and get gas, or else you're going to run out of gas on the way home. But they chased us out of Vegas because of the racing that we would do in the late 90s, early 2000s in Vegas. Was really cool. I seen, oh God, who was it? Jacques had a purple vet, and I think he also had the Viper, right? And this Viper was sick, but it raced a Chevy Love, and they had to have a rolling start because the Chevy Love obviously wasn't going to hook up very well. And the Chevy Love actually beat this Viper. And that was in street races, illegal street races in Vegas. Like it was crazy out there. We were having a lot of fun. There was a dude named, I think his name was Travis. He had a Camaro, and it was an automatic Camaro, but then he put the Triptronic shifter in there, and then he blew out the engine with like a 12-pound pulley or something. And for one night, I don't know why, but his Camaro was running so good, he beat every single one of the 5.0s out there. And for the GM side, which was me, you know, Travis, all them, we were just through the roof that he had done that. Yeah, it's always lit, always. I don't even know if they do it. My uncle had first Viper in SAC, Frank says. Vipers are one of those things where, man, that's one of the dream cars out there, for sure. All right, the electric cars are so fast. Like I said, you just have to charge them after a few runs. Oh, so you would have to, say you're trying to race your Tesla at the street races, right? You'd only get a couple of runs, and you'd probably have to do it in the areas that are closer to town so that you could get back to a charging station, which these days, I mean, a lot of like Walmarts and shit have those charging stations, but if you have an electric car and you drag race, your runs have to be perfect or you have to charge. Oh, Chrissy, salute to you. I see you. I don't know why you're not a moderator. I was going through here. Stay there. Boom. I was going through my list of people that were banned on my channel, and when you're doing it on your phone, you have to like blow up these things, and the iPhone kind of kicks it out sometimes. And if any of my moderators, Chrissy, can you comment again so I can make sure you're a moderator? Any of my moderators, if you see that I've made you not a moderator, it's by mistake, because how they do it on YouTube Studio is it shows the name of your moderator and there's a little X above it, right? If you want to, you have to go on the YouTube Studio desktop version. When you're doing it on your phone and you scroll, sometimes you just hit X's, and I could have sworn that when I was going through my moderators and blocked people, I was like, ooh, I hope I didn't get close to my moderators. So it looks like, Chrissy, I just made you a moderator again. Might have been caught up in that, because Chrissy has always been a moderator. Top Fuel dragster rebuild engines after a couple runs, for sure. Top Fuel's different though. I like run what you brung. Street cars, I like sleepers. Sleepers are my favorite thing in the world. You give me a SVT Contour or you know, a Shadow that was done up by Shelby or any of that, right? You just give me something that nobody sees coming. I like those. The SHO Taurus from the 90s, you know, SSEI Bonnevilles. What was the Pontiac? God, what was that one? That GTP Pontiac, I think is what they were. All supercharged. You had the Super Chicken back then. Hell, they made the God, what is that? The Focus, the Ford Focus. That was sick. Sleeper. See, that's what I like. I like shit like that. Those Grand Marquis. Hey, listen, the mid-90s Impala SS was stupid fun. Stupid fun. You can't really call a Nova a sleeper, though. You know, and I think a lot of that has to do with, if you're talking about stock, Yeah, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Nova has been just played out when it comes to people building track cars to go race the quarter mile, right? I'm talking about just off the showroom floor, zero knowledge that this thing is going to be a beast, right? Like they did a Nismo Maxima in the early 2000s, maybe early to mid 2000s, that was ridiculous. Ridiculous. It would run with the 4.6 Mustangs, right? It would. That thing was stupid. And it's a Maxima. The Eclipse GSX. That was all-wheel drive twin turbo, or no, all-wheel drive turbo, right? Crazy. I love those. I just I can't get enough of a car that you look at and you're like, nah, that, you know what I'm saying? Look at your little family car, and that family car blows your doors off. I love it. I love that shit. The Cyclone, kind of a sleeper. Yeah, yeah. Well, no, that technically that falls into the sleeper category. The Cyclone and Typhoons absolutely fall into the sleeper category because they are not what you expect them to be, right? They were just quick. I had a Pathfinder. That thing was quick. And I famously smoked BMF Ranger in his V8 Titan, big truck, 300 and something horsepower. I smoked his ass. Smoked him. Just left him. And then he goes, "What the hell you got in that minivan?" That's what I like. I like something that's not supposed to be quick, but is. What's up, Crusher? I see you. The Dart with the Hemi. Sleeper. This thing ain't supposed to do this. Chevy Monza. A year or two had big blocks. 454s, as I recall. That kind of shit. I love it. I love it. It's like Mopar's really good at it too, but they're not when it comes to cars. I look at a lot of the Dodges and I think of the potential, right? They did it with the Neon, the God, what was that? I can't think of what the Neon was back then, the 4, right? It's damn it, SRT4. Boom. That little Neon SRT4 or the Impreza, right? The Subaru WRX. Like, these are cars that you look at and you're like, nah, that ain't gonna be shit. And it's quick, and it's beyond quick. And all-wheel drive. Give me an all-wheel drive, turbocharged anything, and I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna have a blast. Big turbo. I think the turbos that they put on the SRT4s were the Mitsubishi T4 turbos. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that that's what they would put on them. And and you would hear it. And it's like, yes, yes. That's what I want. Ford Escort Wagon GT. That's something I don't know about. Those SS 2005-ish trucks. Oh, those are sick. Those are sick. What happened to those? Like, they brought those out for just a minute and then they quit. It's crazy. All right, we're pushing 2 hours here. Brendan, that's dope. My neighbor had a sick one. Let's see. 69 Hemi Roadrunner. I mean, those are... Okay, cool, Chrissy. I just had to make sure because I knew that I knew I whacked one of my moderators. I knew I did. And I just knew I had to figure it out. When one of you came in here and I didn't see blue next to your name, I would know who it was. Because I was trying to scroll off my moderators to the thing, and I think it flickered enough up top where I wasn't looking that it caught my eye, and I go, oh no, I just whacked one of my moderators from being a moderator. Got it back. You're a car guy, Rick? Cool. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And far more than bikes, far more than anything. Like, you should see the tools that I have just to fix my cars. I look forward to something breaking in my car so that I can try and replace it with something aftermarket and also learn how to do it, right? And YouTube and manuals teach me far more than anything else has. But I'm just not afraid to jack my car up, get underneath that thing, remove as much as I need to, try to map it. I will take video of myself taking, like, if I got to do my cooling system, I will video while I'm taking everything off that I have to, right, to get to the pump, to all that, the radiator, fan, all that, get it all out of there, the belt. And that way, I know how to reverse engineer what the hell I just did. You know, like I'm that dude. I like to figure shit out. When Scarlett was like 3, is the first time she started wrenching on a car with me. I had to, Scion TC of all things, but it was paid off. That was my car. I loved it. And I was changing out the suspension, and I got new coilovers. And it's not a big job, right? But it's one of those you got to break. I had to go buy a decent ass breaker bar and some different sockets so that I could break those bolts, right, to get them open. And that's the first time Scar ever worked on a car with me. At 3 years old, she's underneath the Scion TC helping me change out coilovers, you know, shit like that. Technology is the only thing that will keep me from fixing my own cars. Is if it's some kind of a sealed system where, you know, the factory made it to where you can't fix it, basically, or it's some kind of computer booting or adjusting. I don't know how to do any of that. If it's wrench work, I'm doing my own work 100% of the time. And I like to do it. I like to upgrade. I like to do all kinds of shit. Put bucket seats, all that. It doesn't matter. I like to do it. I was a little behind in the chat. BMF is great people. He is. Ask him about the great Titan Hunter in the Pathfinder that I had that I smoked him in. Smoked him. Absolutely smoked him in the Pathfinder. Smoked him. Mercury Marauder. There you go. Respects to all the motorheads with permagrease fingernails. I'm telling you. And short. I keep my fingernails hella short. And it's for a reason. You know, because I'm always doing something. I'm always fiddling with something. I'm always fixing something. I never want to take that something's broken in my house ever. I don't accept it. Well, sometimes you thrash something like, you know, a lawnmower blade or something like that, and it's just got to be replaced. But I'm not going to go buy a new lawnmower because I need to sharpen my lawnmower blade. I'm going to learn how to sharpen my lawnmower blade, sharpen it, and put it back on. That kind of shit. You learn how to tear down small engines on shit like that. You know, lawnmowers, four-wheelers, shit like that. A little chainsaw, weed eater, whatever, right? That's how you learn carburetors and you know, spark plugs, all of that. And then it just bleeds into your cars. Next thing you know, half your engine's sitting out. You got something covering the valve so that dirt doesn't get in because you had to pull the head, because all of a sudden you want to change out your own head gasket. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. My life is a trip. Head gasket costs you $2.80. Changing a head gasket costs you $2,000. No. You give me that $2.80 part. I'm going to take everything apart, and then I'm going to take that head and have it milled so that it's flat again. I'm going to put that new gasket on there, place that new head on there. I'm going to figure this out on my own. And there are plenty of people on YouTube to teach you how to do step by step every bit of it. And now I've just saved myself $2,000 and learned a skill. So that's kind of how I go with it. Instant anxiety when you open the hood nowadays. Oh no. It's these new cars, man. And there's shit you find on these new cars and you go, who the hell thought of this? And why do they even have it? The old way was working just fine. Why are you doing it this way? And why can't you get... They could build a car for cheaper that would last longer, but they don't on purpose. Because the money's in you coming back and buying one of their new cars. Whatever their warranty is worth is what that car, how long it's going to last before shit starts popping off on it. And it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And then, through law, basically our government has said nobody who builds them cheaper is allowed to sell them here, i.e. the Toyota Helix, right? We should have that. Every group in the Middle East drives those things around in the worst terrain ever with thousands of pounds of stuff to go mess up somebody's day attached to the back of it, driving through rivers and up mountains. And this damn suspension just lasts forever with 14 guys in the back. And we can't get none of that here? Why? I want the truck that just refuses to stop driving. And the Helix is absolutely that. Why are they not bringing it here? Because instantly the F-150 and the Ram, and the Silverado will stop selling. Because we're going to buy a truck that's going to last. Not the truck that you built to last just long enough for you to pay it off and have to go trade it in to buy a new one. With an inflated rebate and a very inflated price point. A brand new F-150 these days could run you $100,000, $70,000, $80,000 easy. I think they start at $80,000. A new Ram, not so bad, right? They're running in the $30,000 to $40,000 range and then up, depending on the options. Silverado is kind of in between those two. End of the day, you're talking a year's salary to buy a truck that ain't going to last 6 years. And the instant the warranty's up on it, you have to buy a new one. You will not see 2015 to 2026 trucks as farm trucks 10 years from now. You won't. They are all going to be junked and off to the junker. But you see 30-year-old farm trucks right now, old Fords and Chevys and shit that were made back in the day. Carbureted and just need a little loving. Sometimes it's held together with a paperclip, rubber band, and bubble gum, but it doesn't matter because it's been running on that forever. So, you'll see them at Pick Apart. Exactly. And you'll be pulling the part that you need will be the same one that put it in that Pick Apart. So, 100K all day. Yeah, they're crazy. Crazy. And if you buy a Silverado, your steering wheel is tilted, by the way, this way. And you might not notice it because I told BMF this and he called me a liar until I put a piece of cardboard across it and showed it to him. And he was like, what the hell? It's like, all right, you're sitting in your car. Your steering wheel should be, if it's tilted this way, fine, whatever, right? But it should be facing you. But these aren't. These are off just a little to where they're they're like facing the door at a weird angle. Take a piece of cardboard if you have one of the newer Silverados and put it from door panel to door panel and look at the line on the steering wheel up against this, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's the wildest thing. It's like they didn't get the steering position perfect in it, but they okayed it anyway and sent it out there, and now you have this weird off-tilt wheel that tilts in the other way that you would lean when you're driving. It's the weirdest thing, man. Weirdest thing. I can't understand for the life of me why they would do that. Those small blocks will go forever if you treat them right. Yes, 100%. I haven't even seen which one you're talking about, but if you're talking about, listen, that 5.7 Chevy, early 2000s, late 90s Chevy engine, just goes. Just continue to go. Just keep making parts. And they'll stop making parts is what they're going to do to force you into buying their new hunk of junk. But bulletproof. There's so many of those too. All of them made a really good V8 back then. All of them. No problems at all. Now you're rolling the dice if you buy a new car, if it's going to last you 2 years before the transmission goes out. Because it's all CVT and all this bullshit. Nobody cares about a CVT transmission. Nobody cares about the technology you put into a transmission. You know what we care about? That transmission lasting 20 years, because that's how long we want that truck to last. Fuck. Assholes with your CVT valves. That's the type of stuff, and you can't go fix it because it's a closed system. So Nissan, when they came out with these CVTs, and the valve would go, and basically everybody had to take their Nissans into the Nissan dealership and have this whole transmission replaced because of this one valve in their CVT junk transmissions. Why would you change that? Transmissions were doing just fine. They weren't going out at a rapid rate, not like the CVT is, but you continue to push this on us because you make money on your inflation on your parts of pieces of shit parts that you keep putting into these vehicles for no reason except greed. Yeah. Internal starters. Listen, I'm telling you, just this stupidity of all of it. Planned obsolescence. Yes. And that's exactly what it has become. They have been long enough in the game that they can plan to render whatever you're buying brand new right now will be so obsolete within the next decade that you have no other option. They can make tires that last longer. Did you know that there is a light bulb right now that is still burning and has continuously been lit up since it was made back when light bulbs were invented? Same light bulb. Nobody's ever had to change it. Somebody put that light bulb into its socket and it has continuously, since the light bulb was invented, lit up. And all the light bulb companies got together and decided that either 1,000 or 2,000 hours of being on is the maximum that they are comfortable with before you have to replace a light bulb. Because if they didn't, light bulbs would never have to be changed again and they would never make any more money. So out of their own greed, not the necessity of the people, out of their own greed to make money, they have set limits on how long they want something to last before you have to come back and buy a new one from them. It's crazy. 20,000 hours on an LED. I'll challenge. I'll use my challenge. That's maybe what the box says, but I don't know. Of course, I guess light bulbs don't really go out in my house too much anymore, and I got LEDs, and it's supposed to bring the power down, right? But they can just make a light bulb that will just shine forever. You have to buy like 3 light bulbs per socket your entire life instead of always having to change something out. Yeah. Well, I'm not challenging that they say it'll do 20,000 hours. I'm challenging that it will actually do 20,000 hours. Yeah. Yeah. Planned obsolescence. Yeah. Where they plan something to be obsolete. It's bullshit. And the fact that it's allowed is the crazy part. We should have some sort of regulatory, like I'm all for free market and I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for if you can build a company of stuff that people want, then do that. Right? I'm all for coming up with innovative ideas or ways to make money. All for it. What I'm not for is the gouging that is allowed to go on with it. It needs to be regulated in that manner. I don't think the government should come in and tell somebody so much, how, here's a cap on what you can make. But at the same time, you kind of have to. Instead, they've gone the other way with it, where they've made like this pact with Ford and GM, and only American cars are basically there are specific companies or countries that make cars that are not allowed to sell here because they'll run them clean out the market in America. And they do that for the workers of Ford. I get that, right? But how about you just come in and you tell Ford, get your shit together. Why is it costing so much? Why is it $100,000 for an F-150 now? Right? You're just gouging the American people. You shouldn't be able to just charge whatever. And Americans are dumb enough to where the ones with money are just buying them. Fuck that, bro. Fuck that. At some point I look at shit and I go, nah, bro, I'm not paying that for that. Get out of here. The wiring on the new bike is actually, oh yeah, yeah. Wiring on motorcycles, the parts on motorcycles are they're not what they used to be. And I get it because you're trying to make it lighter and there's carbon fiber that comes into it and stuff like that helps to lighten the bike, and it's actually sometimes stronger to make it out of these composites or shit like that. But at the same time, it seems like inevitably when it comes to a mechanical engine, there are little things that go wrong that they could make stronger, right? Take piston rings. They make it out of the cheapest material that they can make it out of, right? Okay. Why? Why are you putting subpar at a higher rate too? You're putting subpar material into making important pieces, your piston rings should last, right? You got bearings, you got all kinds of shit that just blow out on cars all the time. And it's not only just a nuisance and a huge price to fix, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous. You're putting people on the side of the road with your subpar parts, and then you're charging 2-3 times what you used to for this vehicle. So you're making it out of increasingly worse and worse parts, putting it together in a worse way, and selling it for 3 times more. How the fuck's that work? And that's why we are where we're at in America today. Look at the beef prices. The cattlemen in America, I don't even know why I'm on this conversation. The cattlemen in America are in an uproar right now because they're about to let companies import beef from other countries. How the fuck is it cheaper to import beef from another country than it is to have it here and sell it here? How the fuck does that work? You tell me how a Chinese cow can be processed packaged, shipped and labeled clear across the fucking Pacific Ocean, come to America and be sold at a cheaper price point than in America when we have our own cattle and processing plants. The fuck? And I'll tell you how. Because the men who sell the feed for these cattle and the John Deere tractors for the farms, right? And all this machinery that it takes to process all of this, and the employment rates for everybody who is working at the processing plant or at every step of this way, right? All of that costs far more than it does over there. So these cattlemen are literally having to subsidize all of the inflation in the world, in our country, and somebody needs to come in and level that out. Not say, hey, the government should never run a company, but they should step in and go, hey, why are you charging this much for gas? Why are you charging this much for feed? Why are you charging so much for this machine? Right? Because capitalism should be checked at some point. It has to be, and we are living proof of that. We have our first trillionaire, Elon Musk. He could give everybody in this country $25,000 and still be rich. The guy is, and don't get me wrong, Elon Musk is innovative as hell. That dude is Iron Man. He is an American treasure. And the greatness after Elon Musk leaves this earth will be felt for probably hundreds of years. He is every bit of Newton and Tesla and all that, right? He is that innovative. So China owns Tyson Foods, which is, I can understand why we import some foods, right? You can't really, so avocado from Mexico, something like this, right? In New Mexico, there's Hass. Hass is the best avocado. So obviously we have some sort of climate where they grow better anyway. Why do we depend so much on outside sources? And how is it so much cheaper for outside sources? And the answer is, we have let capitalism run so wild that men have become so rich that, and nobody's checked them on it. The fact that they're able to charge us, where I'm at, $4 a gallon in gas, and blame it on something happening clear across the world, which has nothing to do with our oil infrastructure. And actually, by going into Venezuela, we have added to our reserves and added to our country's oil, right? So we have added another source of oil on top of our own, but something going on clear across the country. Because it's happening, these oil and gas companies are allowed to charge basically whatever they want. And that's what they're doing. And they're getting rich. And somebody needs to step in, because it is affecting all the way down to the farmers. It is affecting delivery trucks that are bringing bread to Walmart. All of this, beef, everything. It is raising the price in everything. And it all begins with oil and gas. Somebody needs to check that. Check that, get that under control, and watch prices drop back down. So, but free energy, right? And the Warren Buffetts of the world are allowed to run around and just charge whatever they want. We are offsetting the profit lost overseas. At the end of the day, oil prices are still 80 cents or $80 a barrel, right around in there. Why are the gas prices still the same as they were when it was $110 a barrel? Almost a 30% upgrade, uptick, because of greed. That's all it is. Because they can charge that and we will pay it. That's why. Yeah. Because they found out that they can get Americans to comfortably pay this. Stop paying it. You remember when we all had to stay home? What did they do then? What did gas prices do then? Plummeted. If all of Americans got together and said, for 2 weeks, I'm not even going to go to the gas station. Fuck this shit. Period. Or even half of us. Together, we could just bring it down. Drive the price down that way. Stop consuming at the price point that they have laid out for you. And it devalues their products. Yeah. Yeah. All right. This was a good one. We went in a crazy ass direction with it, but you know, maybe I'm brain damaged. I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. It's true, Americans aren't angry enough yet. Johnny Rebel, that is 100%. We're just not. Just haven't taken enough of the shit sandwich to say, hey, I'm not going to eat this anymore. What's up, Mouse? I see you. Sorry I haven't called you lately, bro. I can't even say busy. I've just been trying to have enough peace in my life to where I don't really talk to anybody anymore. I've kind of not so much locked myself out of the world, just it's better for my mental. Yeah. LRG says Dubs just went live. Listen, shout out to that weirdo too. Boy, he is just a goose that just keeps on laying all the golden insanity when it comes to YouTube debauchery. What a deviant. Rick, you're going to watch Bree's interview with George? Absolutely. Absolutely. I still watch Breeze, and I watch his interviews. That's what, like, I don't have to do this with Breeze to still, you know what I'm saying? To watch his stuff or like him. Like, we fell out. We don't talk. We still haven't talked since it all happened, and I'm fine with that, and I'm sure he is too. He's doing his own thing. I still watch him. I still get a kick out of him. I just don't want to be a part of doing YouTube with him any longer. That's all. You know, I got nothing bad to say. Just trying to make sure it's George. I don't even know if it's George. Like I said, I don't talk to him. I would imagine it's probably more going to be Josh Harbor, or not Josh Harbor, Aaron McIntosh, right? That would be who I would think. If it has to do with George or Ventura, I know him and Aaron, they're in the same area. And I absolutely, if it's Aaron, I would want him to do that. Or Josh. Both of those men need to tell their stories. Do I care if it's me? It's the same thing as Mike Lynch with Stacks. I don't own the rights or the ability to tell somebody they got to do something on my channel. And I've invested myself enough in the story with Rob from Ventura and George Christie to where if Aaron McIntosh, no matter who he decides to come tell his story on, I'm going to be watching that and I'm going to be happy for it. And the same thing with Josh, right? That whole story, I don't care who gets the interview of putting them up to tell their story. I just care that it happens. So, because that information needs to be out there. Yeah. Shout out to Mike Lynch, by the way. The way he's been pumping it. I feel like it's going to be an older member. Okay. Well, there's other members. I'm not going to really speak on who that he Like Breeze is got a whole slew of connections in the MC world, and he knows a lot of real OG members, you know. So it'll be cool. It'll be cool to see what he's doing. Crusher was Stinky. Stinky has been awesome. Awesome. I can't get I got to go watch. They did a live last night. I got to go watch because I came in late on it to watch it. George and Todd would be hilarious. George and Todd would be something else. I want to see Crusher and Pee Wee. Hopefully that becomes a thing. Eliminate you. Pick this over me. I don't know what that is. I don't know what you mean there. I almost had a stroke reading what you were trying to say there. Tyrese, if that is your real name. He gets drunk and just stares at the camera. Who? Who does? That'd be wild, bro. There's different dubs, I think, than the drunk ass lion POS dubs. I'm not talking about Mexican dubs. I'm talking about white dub. I don't even know the name of his channel. It's this absolute superstar lolcow, basically, that just says the most. He says he's Sonny's nephew. He said that he was hit by fire in the Laughlin incident. He said that he got AB tattoos from an AB member for work he put in a Wyoming prison, even though that's Aryan Nation or AS or somebody else runs that. It's not AB Stronghold by any means. There's no AB there. But he ran with the natives, but he's white. But he says he put in work for the AB. This guy's just crazy, insane. And so I've been watching a lot of him because he is the main protagonist, basically, in a story I've been following. It's the internet troll story, basically. And he's like the face of the trolls that seem to be doing all the illegal things, and now they're all going to be getting wrapped up and caught up in a federal indictment because a federal agent has been on a case involving watching this guy and the people around him for like 18 months. And so I'm talking to some of the people that the FBI agents have come and visited, and kind of getting what the FBI is saying to them. It's like it's a crazy, but this guy is insane. Drops the N-bomb like it ain't nothing on YouTube. Insane. And says he's originally from Elko, Nevada, and he talks crazy. Just stories like, hey man, he told one where he went down and was kidnapped by the cartel, and they bonked him in the head with a baseball bat, but doesn't have a scar. Anything like that. He went after Joe Biden on Twitter about the about the lockdown, to the point where it was getting kind of scary, like yelling at Joe Biden that because of you, I lost $250,000 in my business, and he never had a business to begin with. Everybody's kind of looked into it and checked. Like, the guy is clearly delusional, and they call him Dubs. And I can't get it. He went after Wes Watson. He actually paid Wes Watson to join his program, and then Wes told him to kick rocks, which is crazy enough in itself, because Wes Watson basically takes beta males and takes their money and to teach them how to be alpha males. It's the weirdest thing, but he's one of those guys. What else? Shabazz, help me out here. Shabazz is from that scene, so Shabazz knows a lot about it. He's a gangster 1 minute and snitch the next. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So this guy, he swears to God, I'm going to go to prison because I come in and I ask questions in that whole community to see what's going on. He said, "You're going to prison, VPS." And he calls me all the most vile shit you can call a man, right? And I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with this dude, bro? Calls everybody a rat, but has paperwork showing he ratted on every case he's ever been in. That kind of thing. It's the craziest thing. It is people watching at its finest. It is YouTube people watching at its finest. So, yeah. He hasn't been the same since. I'm telling you, bro. On a serious note, do you think Doves will be getting indicted? LRG? Yeah. Well, you want my honest thought? I think he's done a lot that could get him indicted for sure. I don't, FBI agents don't tend to run cases for 18 months straight and talk to multiple people all over the country about somebody and have books, notebooks this thick full of pictures of screenshots of comments and stuff like that, right? They don't tend to put all of that into a case that they walk away from. So they're obviously watching for a reason. They're going to be charging somebody. Now that I've kind of got my bearing on who's who, the players in all of it, it's absolutely this guy's and his side are doing all of they're calling CPS, swatting people's houses, calling people's wives' work, hospitals that wives are getting treatment at. They went after one lady. They thought it was her in New York or something. Turns out the lady they actually went after just had a similar name. They called this woman who worked at like an elementary school or something, got her fired from her job, ruined this lady's life. She had no idea who these people are. They got the wrong woman. That kind of shit. So, absolutely, and I see it like this. I think, and I'll end up telling this story. I'm going to try and do a Netflix documentary called The Come Up, because that's what he calls himself, dubbed The Come Up. I think he's going to be charged. He's going to roll on his co-defendants or whatever, the people that are on his team, his crimies. He's going to roll on them. He's going to give up a bunch of information, get them arrested also, 100%. And I'm just watching the craziness happen. Calling these federal buildings, I think, will be his downfall. He calls state government, CPSs and all types of shit on people, and he thinks he's doing it autonomously or anonymously, and there is no true anonymity, even if you think there is. Sure, you can use a VPN to cover your IP address, but that doesn't stop the cell phone tower outside of your house from pinging your cell phone, sending a message to somebody, and then it's the same time. Every time somebody gets a message of this threatening, no matter if you are doing it from a burner number or not, they start to build cases that way, right? Emails are not nearly as anonymous as people think. That's why Crime Stoppers has email addresses or email tip sites, basically, because it's easier for them to track. Even with the VPN, it doesn't matter. So I think that he has been let off a cliff. This guy is clearly mentally deranged, but it's interesting to watch. And he hates my guts, hates me. So I can't get enough of just watching this guy flip out. And he comes up with these crazy lies. He said that when he was 12 years old in Nevada, he hunted a bear. And so we do just simple age, right? We say, okay, 12 years old, you hunted a bear in Nevada. Took a bear down. And so you plug in. I said, hey, can you look in the early 90s? Because that's when he would have been 12. Can you look in the early 90s and see if it was legal to hunt bear in Nevada? And he plugs it in. Nope, it was federally illegal to hunt bear in Nevada. It's just like these kind of lies, right? Sonny's my uncle kind of lies. And it's like, all right. So that's another thing that I'm doing on the side too, is this whole dub thing. Called out y'all. Oh yeah. I almost forgot about that part. He calls out a man from, I think that he lives up north somewhere, middle north in America somewhere, i.e. Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, something like that. I don't really know where he lives, but calls out this man, challenges him to a fight, says, I'll give you $10,000. Dubs does this, Dub to come up. He says, I'll give you $10,000, pull up to my house, punk. And then he starts going after this guy who they call Yaw, after Yaw's wife. Well, Yaw takes exception to that. Yaw flies out there on camera, smacks him, boom, feeds him, right? Gets back into fighting position, gives him one, right? And Dub does nothing. It just stands there like this because he had already called the cops and told the cops that Yaw had showed up to his house, and gets Yaw arrested, and then ends up getting himself arrested for the vile shit he was yelling at this guy Yaw, and like slapped his phone out of his hand. But did absolutely nothing when this guy showed up to his house where his family is after calling him out and offering him $10,000 to fight. That kind of shit. And then just proceeded to rat out everybody he could on to the cops. It was the craziest thing. Has the cops on speed dial. It's wild. So that's another one of those cases of me wanting to branch out what I do, right? I talked about it earlier. I said, hey man, I like doing the biker stuff, but I want to do other stuff too, because other stuff interests me. This is one of those where it's clearly going to be a case. The FBI doesn't put this much effort into anything without bearing fruit. And so now I'm just watching, and I kind of have got to know a lot of the major players in this story. So I'm getting their firsthand accounts of this absolute, just insane cartoon character of a fucking person, and what he's done to them, and what he claims they've done to him. It's insane. I'm pretty sure a lot of gents on his side get him to do their dirty work 100%. That's not even a question. And basically, there's this whole underground of trolls that do all of this, and they'll do it to people on the internet that are crash outs, right? And they wind them up, they send them false info, false this, false that. They get them to dox people, which Dub has done a couple of times. Just in the last month, he has doxed a couple of people that I've seen, right? Giving out their addresses, their real names, all of this stuff. I'm surprised he's not throwing social security numbers out there at this point. And it's all the people in the background that they think it's funny, and then when he gets arrested for it, they'll all laugh. But the problem is somebody is one by one finding out who each one of them are in the background also. So, and then Dub will end up rolling on them. It's going to be great. It's going to be Joe Exotic work, you know. He's a crash dummy. He's down for whatever torpedo energy. He is, except for when it comes down to it, he's not down, right? Because this guy Yaw showed up and gave him one. Boom, fed it to him. And this Dub guy, he didn't want none. He said, no. He backed off of it real quick. He wasn't as hard as he was on the internet. So they wind him up to talk shit on the internet, and it's going to probably cost him his freedom. But that's, we'll see. We'll see. In due time, whenever the feds do whatever they do, I'll be on that story too. So thank you for coming to Vegas Profile Stories. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and we'll see you next.